Hello, everyone. This is MMA Interesting Prospects podcast. Today, our guest is Cyprian Rogozinski, who will fight on Eternal MMA 98, September 13th. Hello, Cyprian. How are you? And you will fight quite soon. It will be your third fight in Eternal MMA, third amateur bout. So, if you can tell me, because you had a break from 2021 to 2025, you were back earlier this year, and for your next fight, how do you feel? Do you feel that it can be like the best performance of your career?
Yeah, I definitely took the time off to sharpen my basics and set a good foundation. I kind of wanted to choose my fighting style, and so I chose jiu-jitsu. And over those breaks of those years, I've trained jiu-jitsu. So I competed in many different jiu-jitsu tournaments, won lots of gold medals, and then decided, okay, now it's time to go back to MMA. So with this upcoming fight, I definitely feel like I have a good foundation set and confident that, yeah, my skills will help me, yeah, bring home the win.
And when I watched both of your fights, I saw like much different fighter because in a first fight you were more of the like you definitely fought against really good fighter also, but you seems to be a really like a young kid in that moment, and in your next fight you seem to be like even ready to go pro. You were like aggressive. Of course, you've got this kind of really good finish. So there were like two stories of the one fighter.
Yeah, I've been told that by a few people now. It's crazy when you look at the difference of what time can do when you really take the time off. Like you said, when I first fought, I was quite young. I only had 8 months, 6 months training, and I was quite excited. And I asked my coach, "Can I go in the cage?" And yeah, I was matched with Wyatt Fraser, who's quite respected fighter here in the local MMA amateur scene. And so, I'm glad I did that fight because with that fight, it really helped me see, like, exactly what I need to work on, how it feels, and then for my next fight, I had all these years to prepare and train. That's why I came out the way I was because I was, quite confident and believed in my ability that, yeah, I was able to do what I needed to do. Yeah.
And after this first fight, did you think that maybe you will take some few more, or was it always like the plan after the first fight? No, I have to go back to training and be back in like a longer period of time.
After that fight, I definitely, yeah, had a break and I really thought about it because I always wanted to go pro, I always wanted to go UFC from when I was 17, 18. So, that's where I want to go. And so I thought, how am I going to get there? What do I need to do? I thought it's better, yeah, take time off and train before going back in. So I also had joined the army, which was another problem why I wasn't able to fight through those years. So being in the army, I'd also like had moved around Australia a few times, had moved to different places to live. So it was quite hard for me to settle in one place and fight out of the gym. But once they had finally moved me to a place to live, which is Brisbane currently, I was able to join a gym and then train consistently at one gym where they then helped me, yeah, get me my fights that I wanted to fight. Yeah.
And do you think about going pro in like near future?
Yeah, I'd love to go pro. I think that, yeah, obviously just have to keep fighting and staying consistent. So my plan is to, yeah, maybe knock out this fight and then another one December possibly, and then another three. Depending on what my record and how I perform in my amateur fights will depend how many I need to have before going pro. Right now, I'm sitting around thinking the 6 to 8 mark. Depending on what my record is, will, yeah, depend if I go pro sooner or later. Yeah.
And overall, I think that you are probably in the one of the best places that you can be because Eternal MMA is the best regional promotion. So definitely they can give you some good challenges.
Yeah, Eternal definitely is the best platform for, growing and becoming a better fighter. I think I agree. The matchmaking there is great. They always give you a hard match. It's never an easy match. There's no really easy way through Eternal. And it's the best because it has the most eyes watching you. So you get used to that pressure of fighting because obviously like at an amateur level, we're fighting at a low level, but because we're fighting on a big platform, it almost feels like you're fighting at a pro level because the amount of people that are watching you tuned in, their social media, how they run. It's a very good promotion. So yeah.
And you can tell me how your like training camp look like because it's like amateur fights. So how many weeks did you have to prepare yourself?
Sit between 8 mark for my fight camp. So with this current fight camp, my schedule looks like a 2 to 1 hour of training every night. So sparring usually on the Tuesday, Thursdays, and then we do the wrestling technique Monday, Wednesdays, and then I also include strength and conditioning in my cardio. So I have a strength and conditioning coach, a separate coach who focuses on like my cardio, my strength. He writes me a program. He also writes my fight camp programs. So on there it includes what days is doing what, and yeah, but usually I'm putting in 2 to 3 hours a night, trying to eat the best I can, get as much sleep. It's hard with work and other things and balancing, but I'm managing to get it done. So I'm quite confident in this fight. I feel like I've left like, no stone unturned. Yeah.
And did you have a chance to watch any of his fights? Because of course, when you have just two fights, it's probably can be a little bit tricky. Like even in your case, it's probably really hard to take any like information from your first fight because it was such a long time ago.
This fighter, Daniel Ross, I believe that his footage, yeah, it's recent enough for me to find where the tells were. Also, it also helps my actual teammate from my gym fought Daniel Ross previously. So he's fighting someone from Integrated again, which is me, obviously. So knowing that one of my teammates have already beaten him kind of gives me that extra boost and confidence that, like, what's this guy going to be able to do? If I'm able to go do good rounds with a guy that's already beaten him and, has all the tells from this fight. Obviously, I have to respect him and stuff can change. I don't know what he's going to bring at me, but I'm confident that, yeah, I'll be able to put him away and be able to get a read on him early, be able to like, yeah, find where his mistakes are, where his gaps are, and I'll be able to go on that. Yeah.
And in your last fight, you won by really good submission. And in this fight, if you can pick the way of the finish, would you be more interested in going for another submission or maybe like a knockout?
Definitely depending on how the fight goes. I don't want to give away too much, but yeah, I kind of have a plan. I know what I'm going to do. He's going to be a little bit shocked when I pull some things out that I don't think he expects me to do. So yeah, training in other areas of martial arts for this camp that, I don't want to say yet, but like, yeah, that I've been using towards I'm going to come out and use these new skills essentially. But, if the submission's there, it's there. But if the knockout's there, the knockout's there. I'm not going to hunt. I'm not going to try look for it, but I'll find that when it comes into my hands, if that makes sense.
And about your beginnings in the sport, like combat sports, what was the first like overall combat sport or martial art that you ever train?
Very, very young. I was like 12 years old. I think it was like karate or taekwondo, your usual one that my mother signed me up for. But unfortunately, I was quite a little bit of a rebellious, naughty kid, and I kind of used those skills for bad. And I was getting in school fights, trying to use my training outside the gym. So I had to wait till I matured up. And then when I was 18, I signed up for jiu-jitsu, grappling. And so that's where I started with. And then I slowly, yeah, kind of moved to MMA. And then I fell back to jiu-jitsu, if that makes sense. And did jiu-jitsu again for like 2 years. So from about like 18 to 20, I would say, was like heavy jiu-jitsu. Still MMA, but maybe once, twice, two times a week. Mainly with just grappling though, yeah.
And if the both sports would be paid the same, like MMA and grappling competition, would you be more interested in doing just grappling?
I quite enjoy MMA because it's the whole mix of it, it's a bit more realistic in terms of like, yeah, what I can use because jiu-jitsu it's a separate sport, because you're grappling and you're rolling, you're not getting punched at the same time. With MMA, I like that challenge, I'm grappling, I'm wrestling, but I also have to look out for him striking me at the same time. So it's quite good because then when I go back to normal grappling and so I go to an open mat, I get told that, my top pressure is very good, or like my grappling is a lot more better because you have that MMA grappling style, which I think beats a normal jiu-jitsu style every day of the week. Yeah.
And when I checked like information about you, I found out on like Eternal MMA page that I think that your favorite person from combat sports is like Craig Jones.
Yes, yeah, I find him quite entertaining. Yeah, I like his style, I like his personality. I like what he's done for the sport as well. Like with jiu-jitsu, he's really brought it up and got more eyes and viewers on it. Especially like him hosting his invitationals, I find that really cool. And so yeah, no, yeah, he is my favorite. As like, I don't know, I just find it funny. It's cool seeing him with UFC fighters. It's just yeah, good bloke. Yeah.
And did you have a chance to watch CJI?
Oh, I didn't have a chance. I was busy with work and I was away. But yeah, I was able to tune in on the highlights and watch the reels and highlights. Yeah, and basically see the results. Yeah, good on Australia for winning it. It's good.
Yes, overall I saw some, maybe not the whole show, but some bouts, some also some highlights, and it was like a really interesting one. But also it's like it was like 12 hours in 2 days. It was a, quite a long watch, let's say.
Definitely was a long watch. Yeah.
And if you can tell me, because you told that you like changed your gyms a little bit when you were in army. So if you can tell me right now, what is the your main gym and when did you get there?
I started off, so I moved to Brisbane and I started off at Team Compton. So where Tom Nolan, Dom Usman train out of. I trained there for about 2 years. So a year and a half, 2 years when I first came to Brisbane. And then due to like location of where I live, it was quite a fair bit of a drive. And their pro classes are in the AM. So they run their pro classes in the morning. And it was quite hard for me to show up consistently to class while working full time. And so I came across Integrated, a gym that was 10 minute drive, and they had their pro competition class in the afternoon. So I was able to make those afternoon classes every day instead of only making, 1 to 2 classes with the pros at Compton. Whereas I was still training in the afternoon with Compton, but I wasn't able to get those good rounds and, training in as much. Whereas Integrated were able to facilitate and show me that and like give me those rounds basically in the afternoons. So yeah, I went from Compton and Brisbane. I kind of floated around, tried Lemos Brazilian Jiu Jitsu because I did Jiu Jitsu for a little bit, and then went to Integrate where I am now. Yeah.
So in integrated, do you have fighters like you, maybe early in amateur career, maybe early pro can give you give rounds, and you see that they have like big potential to be a stars in the future?
There's a few, definitely some prospects to look out for. I would say Quinn is one of them. He's a pro fighter. He'll be fighting on the card with me. Very, very composed, calm fighter, very able to spar technically, really good training partner, good solid rounds with. And then there's also Toby Desang, a very strong grappler. He's 1-0 as a pro currently as well. Had an undefeated amateur record of 4 wins for 0 losses. And those two definitely would have to highlight out of the gym. Great, great fighters, good teammates. But overall, there's a lot of boys there, such as Toby Porter as well, is another good pro fighter who I'm able to get good rounds with. I feel like I'm well surrounded with good teammates that can, give me that training, give me the hard rounds that I need. 100%.
And sometimes, or even usually, the good sparring partners are fighter with like not a big name. That they are just beginners, but they have big dreams, and still that they can give some trouble. So you don't have to like train with a UFC champion to get a really good time in the cage. And right now, do you, as the more of the fan of the sport, do you have maybe one, maybe few fighters that in some way can inspire you, or you just watch like to watch their fights?
Definitely have a few fighters that inspire me. I would say Dustin Poirier be one of them. Even though he never became champ, they say, but just able to see his ups and downs and how he matured and grew as a fighter from when he was very young and started off. And I find, he had a lot of challenges through his career that he was able to overcome, and I find that very inspiring. His fight and very entertaining fighter. And like more of like the local scene, if you look at local, I'd say Dom Arfen, so my previous teammate from Compton, he's definitely someone I look up to. He started off his career with a pretty bad knockout and then was able to come back, and now he's fighting in the road to UFC, one fight away from a contract. Being able to see people knock down on their feet and get back up is probably, my favorite fighters because, not everyone can do it. Some people quit, lose momentum. And so kind of I had that a little bit, after my first fight, debut, young, TKO in front of everyone. I was like, spewing that I lost. but I was able to, watch other fighters, see how they overcame their losses, and then was able to bounce back. Yeah.
And it's probably one of the most important thing because if everything is easy and smooth, it's not problem to do it all the time. But if you have this kind of
True.
problem, this kind of adversity, and you still will be back, it's probably what like make you as the like man with your character. And do you have maybe a plan for your career for next few years, so that you want to fight outside of the Australia in this moment, maybe going to the to the UFC in that moment? Yes. Do you have a plan for your career, so for next few years?
But yeah, my plan is, like I said, just fight local at Eternal for now. I think that's the best platform. They can offer me the most. So just fight with them, and keep fighting as amateur, eventually go pro. And then I'm sure that other doors and opportunities will be given to me if I just fight consistently with them. Yeah, 100%. Eventually down the line, maybe, go to Thailand. I had plans of training in Thailand for a bit, maybe Bali and visiting. But it's just, yeah, money and work, got to try to balance my hobby and my sport with my career. So yeah.
Yes, and of course, like Thailand probably is one of the best places to train. Of course, like in US, it's like plenty of great gyms, but in the end, like cost of living is definitely much like it's not as cheap as in Thailand. And outside of world of MMA, when you have a little bit free time, do you have maybe some additional passions or hobbies?
Kind of video games. I don't know if you count video games. Probably that because it's not physical. I'm able to properly relax then. I tend to just play video games. If it's not UFC, then it's Call of Duty. And then my other hobbies would just be spending time with friends that I have here. I don't. Yeah, eating food, just doing your normal things that you do. Yeah. I try to keep a good balance between my sport, my work life, and then relaxing. But yeah, yeah.
And about your weight, did you ever like in this two previous fights, did you have any like problem with making weight?
Oh no, my weight is pretty good. Yeah, so I haven't really had an issue. I think when I go pro, I will fight at featherweight, and I'll cut down even more because, like I said, the cut to lightweight is there's no issues. I'm able to do it healthy. I'm able to do it consistently as well without any issues. I feel there's no impact on my training and on the fight. So I think when I go pro, I'll cut down to featherweight, be fighting at featherweight instead of lightweight. Yeah.
Yes, and in pro maybe it will be worth it, but in amateur it's probably not the best idea to be like that man
Exactly.
one night before the fight.
Didn't really see a point cutting that much for only an amateur fight. It's not worth it. Yeah, 100%.
Okay, Cyprian, so many thanks for the time and for conversation. I hope that you will win your next fight in the like way that you did it before, and I hope that you maybe will fight this year or like early next year one more time with another great finish.
For the invite. Thank you for your time as well. It was great meeting you and talking to you. Thanks, mate.